Hello. Hey, I ran a few dungeons with my guildies this weekend. I did end up tanking another Cinderbrew, which I seem to tank a lot of. And what I thought I'd do is go through and kind of comment through the run and how I plan the pulls. I'm going to assume that with your blood DK or whatever tank you might be running, you know the basics of your rotation to keep your defensives up and get aggro and do some damage. I do run a Deathbringer spec because all I really do is Mythic Plus, and it works pretty good with Exterminate to get some good damage. But what I did want to talk about as we go through here is just kind of look at how I'm setting up the pulls and planning things. So this first room, of course, can be fairly tricky. So it seems to be the best way to kind of split stuff up is go right first. So you got a couple packs here to pull. Now I did say these are guildies, but I had a couple new people in here that I wasn't familiar with what they could do. So I'm trying to be a little cautious at first and see what kind of DPS we're getting out of everybody. I've got an auto marking add-on from CurseForge that will mark up the casters, and of course I'm using my own threat plates profile that's going to color the nameplates of the mobs you want to priority interrupt. I want to make sure someone's keeping an eye on those pyromaniac casters because they're pretty tough. They get casts off. Our healer here is excellent. She also gets at least one of those marked ads and keeps it pretty locked down. But you can kind of see here, I could have pulled in that other pyromaniac in the little pack, but I chose to just keep the one for now. Still plenty of damage incoming to the tank from the hired muscles. So, of course, defensives. The way I play my DK is we've got Vampiric Blood and we've got Dancing Rune Weapon, and I use them pretty aggressively as soon as they come off a cooldown. I guess you could say I'm playing a little more like a DPS than a tank. But at the same time, those cooldowns are going to help keep you alive too, so. Try and keep that death and decay down as much as you can. And of course blood boils help with damage and some more aggro. I think we have had one death already. Somebody stood in a circle, which happens. This first room is a little tough. You can see I'm kind of trying to control the pull here. I see that my healer is a little low on mana, so let her drink, because we took a lot of damage going through there. So we can see my healings, her healing's up at 1.73 million per second, and mine's at 2.44, so that's how much damage is incoming. Now we're taking Chewy here along with a few mobs. So a ton of damage comes in on this one. I'm going to be hitting all my defensives there. Deathbringer too I'm using on every pack so I can get some more damage out there. Don't forget, damages are aggro too. Now once we cleared that pack, I went ahead and pulled in this last Pyromancer along with Chewy. And I'm only doing this because I know the healer can keep up, because there is a lot of damage with Chewy. But if you're not quite sure about your healer, you may elect to just pull Chewy by themselves because they do a lot of damage. So you would basically clear all the packs around and then do Chewy. But we did keep that Pyromancer pretty well locked down. The patrons, they hit, but they're not like that bad. Alright, pretty successful. First room clear with just one death. So now we're looking at the boss. So this boss, of course, drops big puddles and clouds. But we're going to want to be running beer from this bar out to the guys on the left of me right now, and then the one guy on the right. So seems to work out pretty good. Just pull him to the center of the room. So see, he's dropping all that stuff, and that's not going to be in our way when we're running. Run the beers out. Pretty good damage there. You can Death's Advance that keg smash so you don't get knocked back. Though I think I was on cooldown, my Death's Advance. That said, as long as you got your body aimed in the direction you want to go, which is in fact back here. See, we're dropping all those puddles in a line, and it's going to be well out of the way of everything. Alright, so we got the first drinking intermission. We'll grab our beers.
Do you need my address?
I was kind of hoping that guy would need a drink and I wouldn't have to run too far. But as you can see there, all those puddles in the middle, they're not in the way of getting to the patrons here. Then what I did here is I pulled the boss, and didn't quite work out the way I wanted because I'm going to get keg smashed here in the wrong direction. But I kind of wanted to put all the piles there next to the other ones. But at the same time, you got to stay out of those fogs. You'll see right here, actually, we're starting to get stuff piled up here where I don't want, because we're going to want to use that right side of the room to get to the patrons. So I quickly ran the brewmaster guy back here. And luckily, the way it ended up working out is the stuff in the middle had mostly despawned. So we end up still with a pretty good path. But maybe in a more ideal world, you would, after the first intermission, you take them off to the either the far right or the far left of the bar and try to drop stuff over there. Just the idea being you want to make sure everyone can get and deliver their beers as quick as possible.
Cat made a noise behind me. I looked around. It sounded like throw up. You know you
I was
gotta
gonna
look.
say, was it? Yeah.
Yep, it was.
Alright. First boss down, still just one death. We're running okay on time, but looking over at the meters, that's okay. You know, you don't got full uptime on that boss the whole fight.
The one rule, just don't vomit on the bed.
But we don't have a huge DPS this run, so as a tank, that's something I'm going to take into consideration as we are pulling packs, right? Well, we got good heals, but if I go pull a huge pack of mobs, it's going to need to die pretty quick before people die. But you need good, real strong DPS to do that, which, well, we got a bunch of mobs in there. Our demon hunter is doing a lot of damage, and they seem to be staying out of stuff. I guess they're doing okay on this bowl. What I do like to do, of course, my threat plates I set up so all those caster guys you got to interrupt are highlighted in purple. So when possible, I try to make sure that those purple guys, we pull a pack, we kill those, and there might be still other mobs still up, but we can pull them into the next pack with purple guys, because you only got so many interrupts, right, in your party, and stuns. This particular little group's got 3 guys that need to get interrupted. The blue nameplates in my setup, I set those up for guys that have frontals, so you can kind of be aware those guys have frontals and you'll have to move at some point. So the flavor scientists can throw out heals, and then the other guys do that boiling attack, which got to be interrupted too. But since we had so many guys need to get interrupted, I made sure all those guys are clear before we move on. And this particular pull is a little tricky because you got 2 charging guys and a flavor scientist. And you can pull them into the next pack, but you'd have to be really confident that your team's got stuns that they can rotate. The other thing I've been watching along the way is how many interrupts we're getting out of people. It's okay. But for me, I felt like, well, let's work, see if we can work one of these charging guys down before we charge into that pack. I did actually call out for a focus on one of them. I guess I should have marked it, but oh yeah, another thing to be aware of is when those guys hit the wall, you're going to get those brew drops. So you don't want to pick those up so they don't go eat your healer. Although I had called for focus on one, well, they went down about the same time, which is okay. That's right. But see here, you got 2 of those guys are going to do that boiling channel, which does a lot of damage, so pretty important to get them interrupted. As a DK, of course, very handy thing we have is not just our mind freeze, but use your death grips to do the interrupts too. That'll interrupt an awful lot of stuff. In addition to yanking farm mobs. Alright, so we got both casters down. I'll just make sure I put a little damage on these guys so they don't go hit somebody.
You can yell for interval too.
Now for this boss's room, I like to pull everything back. I'd also been saving my, I don't know if saving's the right word, but saw that A-bomb limb was up, so that's a perfect tool for getting them all piled in nicely. Now this is one of those, the amount of casters and mobs I pulled there, it is dependent upon a lot of stunning. Which, let's see, let's look at the interrupts. Oh, I got interrupt off almost everybody there. And then I saw plenty of stuns going out too, so. With the different classes I play, I find Blinding Sleet to be not the best AoE stun. It has a pretty narrow cone. But Shaman have a great couple of interrupts for stuns. And mages do too, actually. Even the warrior shockwave seems to have a little wider cone there. You can kind of see how I plan this out then. Once that purple caster or the purple nameplate goes down for the caster, then I'm going to yank in the next pack. And we still got mobs, right? But from the first pack, but as a tank, we can handle the damage off of those guys usually. I did not pull the second hobgoblin in because didn't really want that with these 2 casters. But then on the other hand, looking at the clock here, and this is just a 10, but guess we're okay on time at this point. See, the way I set up for that last charge that was on me was to put it over on the side where nobody was, and then drop a death and decay. So as those brew drops come in, they'll come right through that death and decay.
No. Why?
So kind of the key to making the timer is to pull quickly enough so that you're going to make the timer, but at the same time not pull so much that you're going to create extra deaths in a wipe. Which can be a tricky one. This being a 10, I kind of felt like we had a little more time, but you try to do higher keys, you'll need to pull more aggressively, and you'll need DPS. That's pretty big. Well, I've been watching throughout this run so far, the Demon Hunters outputting pretty good on AoE stuff. But then again, good is relative, so looking right now, we just pulled a couple pretty big packs. And though everyone's up over 3 million, they're barely above me, and you should be exceeding your tank by more than that. Alright, this boss ain't too bad. Basically, you're going to be kiting him around the room. So I kind of start him just a little bit forward to where he spawns. So there's some room. So you're going to do the spouting stout. Now we're watching here for red puddles on the ground because that's where there's going to be ads. Now my plan here is to take him over to the door. So you can see actually I have put chains of ice on that close ad, and I told everybody to go attack it. Then here somehow I got wedged behind the barrels, which will must be a gnome thing. I got punted right in there. But that's okay. Looks like everybody listened and got those ads down. Now those ads are going to regenerate, but you can see here I've got a good view of them, so I know when they're coming up. And of course the next move I make is going to be lengthwise down the room. Now I got an ad right there to my right, so I'm going to chains him, I'm sure. Whoa, that was close too. You don't want any of those brew drops to get to the boss, or you get a shield. It's kind of nasty to get off there. But throughout here, I'm continuing to watch on those brew drops, because we can always tab over and throw chains of ice on them, help out. Give the DPS a little more time. Luckily, DPS, it looks like they're turning around and hitting those ads right away. I see we got some ads regenerating coming in, so. What you want to do is, of course, move out and get to someplace, where you'll be dragging that boss away from all those ads. The ads do tend to move pretty slow, which is good. Unless they've been up for a while and then they get kind of overpowered, overcharged or something, and they get really big and they move fast. Oh, in which in fact we got one coming in there.
He's big and he's fast. Thank you.
Alright, so we kind of ended up pretty much where we started, which is fine. And we haven't got any brew drops hit the boss. So I'm going to drag him, or direct him down this way, away from the brew drops. We only got 7% on the boss, and we got actually some distance, so I told everyone, hey, let's just kill the boss. And boss is dead. So now I'm looking at the timer, I'm going, well, 14 minutes, which is actually not, it's going to be tight. But
I'm gonna get purveyors in this section.
so knowing we're a little tight. Now we only got the B boss and then the last boss. But the last boss takes a little bit of time too, because you got to kill the 4 mobs before the boss is able to be attacked. So I'm already thinking I'm going to need to go a little more aggressively through this hallway. though there is plenty of damage coming out here. The most dangerous mob in here is probably the Royal Jelly, who does a volley. Once again, our healer's calling out. She's watching that one.
If we do pull two, then
They get volleys off that. Not necessarily a wipe, but it's
No,
going
no,
to be bad.
I said if.
Just like the hired muscle in the first room, the big guys here hit the tank pretty hard. You're going to want to keep a close eye on your health and make sure you're hitting things like Vampiric Blood and Dancing Rune Weapon as soon as they come up, so you can keep yourself up as well as possible. So we go look at the healing right now. I'm at 2.2 million per second, so that means a lot of damage was coming in, but we have plenty of defensives we can rotate through, keep ourselves alive. Since looks like everyone's got the Purveyor locked down pretty good, I can focus on the Wranglers. So they do that frontal bazooka, but you can death grip to interrupt that or use your stun. Alright, let's look at a timer. 11:45, so making pretty good time through the hall. I was originally going to pull that pack ahead and everything back through the door, but I changed my mind. The bee venom off these packs can do some damage, so something to be aware of. That is well, I'm not going to rewind it, but so the damage on that pack, I was up around 5 million, so is a Demon Hunter, but our other two DPS were a little bit behind on that one, which is okay. It happens. Might have been between cooldowns or something. And I haven't pointed out the damage meters too much along this run, but it is something to be aware of, because that's how you can kind of determine what your pace can be. If you're pulling packs and your DPS is just destroying them, then you can feel a little more confident. Hey, I'm going to pull maybe not just 2 packs together. I'm going to pull a 3rd pack or whatever. So far this run, I've been keeping a pretty steady pace with mostly like the 2-pack mentality. Now this pull can get hairy because we got a lot of stuff coming in at once. Definitely full defensives, which looks like I put Vampiric and Dancing Rune up right away. But of course, even we got that up and we're still dipping lower than we want to. You got Icebound Fortitude to use, and Anti-Magic Shell actually can block a lot of what we see here in the Mythics too. It's a little unclear, what kind of damage coming in specifically Anti-Magic Shell can prevent, but it's worth pressing if you're running out of cooldowns.
Wait.
Okay. Now, see, we got 9 minutes left for the dungeon, which is it's actually going to be a little tight, because this boss take a few minutes, and then we got to do the trash in front of the last boss. So.
Why'd you move me to the AFK chat?
You were AFK.
This boss is a little tricky. Of course, we get the honey marinade So we need to go drop that off to the side where it's not going to be in everybody's way. But at the same time, you got to get back in here and pick up the bees so you can get them. Hopefully, you can get them together so they can get killed, and then people can blow up the barrels. What I'm trying to do here is kind of just Olympic circle those things, trying to minimize the space they're taking up. Also being aware on the corners of the room on the other side, across where I'm dropping puddles, there are packs of little bees there, which I think we already pulled in one. Now here it looks like my DPS is getting pretty far behind on the bee ads. Oh, actually it looks like I did a fair job of Olympic circling those. They do actually despawn too after a while. Yeah, we got bees all over the place. And it could be that, oh yeah, I'm watching. Could be that our DPS looks like he's the only one doing the barrels, but I'm not sure he knows quite how to use that thing. Which is fine. Meanwhile, it looks like the other two DPS aren't working on the bees at all. That's why this boss is dragging out. Or maybe they are. But I think we're already at 3 minutes on this fight. Oh yeah, 2:53. Oh, you know, I don't usually stare at details when I'm playing, but I do see it's got the fight timer right there. Oh, that's handy. And you can see back in the original part of the room where I was dropping those circles, a lot of them have despawned already. Which, like I said, I don't think I've actually seen that happen too often, which means this fight's going on longer than it should have. But hey, boss down, nobody died. Though our healer is all out of mana. Now you can go up the stairs, and if you accidentally pull that pack of bees, or if you can't jump like I can't jump, you go upstairs and you do pull the bees, just run in here and get on the transport up to the top and drop out of combat with them. So it's right here, so we got 5 minutes, which is actually pretty tight now, because we got to kill all 4 of these guys and then boss. Of course, as soon as you kill one, all the other 3 go up back to full health, so we've called DPS on Skull. And they're going down okay, but so it's 5 minutes when we got up here, so almost a minute gone already. It does look like our DPS is doing okay on this part. And yeah, nothing wrong with the DPS during this run. These aren't all people doing 12s and stuff, right? Or higher. But as a tank, you do want to kind of keep an eye on how fast packs are going down. And then if packs seem like they're taking too long, you take a look at the meters, and that gives you a better idea how you need to pace things. If you want to make sure you get the best chance at timing. Now in this particular fight, I should use my Death's Advance a little more than I did to keep from getting knocked back. But I think I was just focusing, trying to make sure I'm catching a good amount of barrels with my cone. Let's see, yeah, that would have been a good time for a Death's Advance. Now we got some big barrels out there, which is plenty of damage when those go off. But we do have anti-magic zone. Helps a little bit. I'm guessing our healer used healing totem there. Healing tide. I look at that. I use my Death's Advance. That's the way to do it.
That is the best part of being a DK.
So our DPS is headed out there to get barrels. And once again, I don't know that all of them are completely familiar with this this dungeon. Like the bee mechanic, right? Of course, you want to try to bust open the big barrels if possible, because they'll do the most damage when the boss goes up on their desk. But our healer saw that, so she got Spirit Link down. And we're at 122, so it is doable.
I only have one.
Herb hero you didn't hear.
It's
Did you get your rock yet?
I did.
And technically, we could maybe just try to ignore busting any barrels. Make sure we make the timer. But then again, if we had done that, maybe we would have wiped because there are too many barrels going off here. So my anti-magic zone came back up, so which means we already been at this boss for 2 minutes. There you go. We did time it with seconds to spare, but hey, that counts. Oh, pretty fun run. Hopefully, a little bit of commentary and tips and observations along the way help anybody else setting up for tanking this this particular dungeon. Like I said, I don't do anything too special with my rotation. Everything's blowing off on cooldown pretty much. And then if we get into trouble, you know, we got anti-magic shell or icebound fortitude, and of course lots of death strike. So, but definitely found that I get a pretty solid amount of damage using the Deathbringer spec, because exterminate just does a ton of damage. So looking at the overall meters here after the run, yeah, I'm up over 2 million, which I'm happy with as a tank. Yeah, that's pretty good. And looking at our other DPS, yeah, possibly, you know, they'd be able to get more with a little more practice. So, overall. And that's what you would need then. If you go up above 10s, those mobs are going to be thicker, which then creates a shorter timer, right? Because you got to nuke down those mobs. It's going to take a little longer, which is also where you're going to need more DPS coming out. Get those mobs down and keep up. Anyway, if you watched all the way to the end here, thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next one.